Welcome everyone. I think we're ready to get started with today's webinar, which is how to convert website visitors into leads. I'm Amy Rowan, Streamworks Marketing Director. And just a quick reminder about Streamworks and who we are. We help clients integrate traditional marketing channels like direct mail with digital channels to produce cohesive and consistent messaging for our clients' brands. That also includes putting strategies into place to capture and convert website visitors into leads, which happens coincidentally to be what we're talking about today. So today we will be covering the mechanics of lead generation, tips for creating and segmenting content that attracts leads, and we'll give you a high-level overview for building website traffic. So before we get started, just a few housekeeping items. You should notice the control panel there on your screen, and that is the way to ask questions, and as you can see, we'll save time for that at the end. Today's webinar, if the weather in other places of the country, for those of you who are joining us outside of Minnesota, is anything like it is in Minnesota, it's an absolutely beautiful day. So we will keep it to about 30 to 40 minutes and let you get enjoy some outside time, hopefully, for your lunch. And we'll also be sending you a copy of the slide deck after the presentation. So if you feel like you've missed something, don't worry about it. You'll be getting a copy of the slides. So with that, let me introduce our presenter. Steve Deutscher is Streamworks Vice President of Integrated Marketing. He has over 17 years experience in marketing and digital communications and really specializes in crafting strategies that drive traffic, leads, and sales, focusing on digital tactics like inbound marketing and website development. So with that, I will turn it over to Steve.
Thanks, Amy. And thanks, everyone, for joining us. I hope that you're going to get a lot of information here over the next 30 minutes. So let's just jump right in. So let's talk about first, what is a lead? We've got a lot of people that think different things about what a lead could be. Is it a person that you know? Is it a website visit? Is it a customer? So a lead is really an introduction. So if you take a look at the graphic here, it's really converting an anonymous website visitor into somebody that you know. So the way we get there is to have them fill out a lead generation form to begin that relationship. Now, the ultimate goal is to nurture that relationship into a converted customer. So a question that you might have is why? Why do we have to go through these channels to be able to get someone through a lead down to conversion into a customer? And the fact of the matter is, today's customer is a lot more well-informed than they have been, say, 15 years ago. 15 years ago, people had a lot of information on the sales side, but not necessarily the customer. Of course, we all know with the advent of Google and search engines in general, people have access to a ton of information, so customers now have a lot of information at their fingertips, and we really need to be able to reach them on their terms where they live, and that means digitally. So what I want to do is get some of these pieces together and really paint the picture of what this looks like and how you can create your lead generation machine. So there's 4 parts to it, and I'm going to just go over these really briefly right now, but we're going to dive into what each one of these is and how they go together. So the first part is the offer. And the offer really is just a point of value that someone is going to be willing to trade their information for. So they'll see something that they can download, but they're going to have to trade their email address. Secondly is the call to action. And you can think about this like an advertisement for the offer itself. So it's going to be a button, probably on a website, where you'll be able to see, hey, click this and get this information. Third is the landing page, and the landing page is really just a specialized type of web page. We'll go into what makes a landing page special in just a minute. And fourthly, the form that goes on the landing page, which is going to actually capture the information that you're looking for. So let's dive into the offer. So what's an offer? It's a piece of content that, as I mentioned before, that's perceived really high in value. You can take a look at the offers that we have on the left here. These are actually our offers. So you can see we've got 30 greatest lead gen tips and tricks. We've got how to use social media to find new leads, 25 website must-haves. So these are offers that we put out to people that may be interested in what we have to offer and trade these pieces of downloadable content for a bit of information from them. So other examples are white papers, ebooks, tip sheets, coupons, discounts, etc. Now, offer best practices. The top bullet is really the most important. Remember that people are trying to solve a problem. When you go to a website, you typically have a question in mind, and you're trying to solve that question that you have. So remember that the offers, these pieces of content that you're getting into people's hands, remember that it's really got everything to do with those folks that are trying to solve a problem that they've got. Secondly is make sure that the problem that you're solving is relevant both to the people that are searching for it and to your company. And simply what I mean by that is if you're, say, a financial institution, you're not going to be putting out content that has to do with fixing a leaky faucet. Third, when promoting, use the bandwagon effect. And what I'm thinking about there is, think about McDonald's. And we remember the days when they had, over 2 million sold and 3 million or 5 billion. The idea is that they're promoting the idea that what they do has a lot of value for a lot of people. So when you have someone, let's say, downloads a piece of content 1,000 times, go ahead and say that it's been downloaded 1,000 times to let other people know that your content really matters. And fourth is avoid jargon. Make sure that you're using really easy to use language because you don't know exactly who's going to be using the content. You want to make it as accessible to everybody as possible. Now, let's take a look at some of the titles that we've used. And you should think about this when you're developing your content. Make sure that it's irresistible. And what I mean by that is take a look at the top 3 bullets and what they have in common. 10 quick tips to, or 25 common mistakes, or 5 simple tips. The idea that people will be able to take a look at what you have to offer quickly and get great information is crucial. You need to think about the content, these offers that you're putting together, as really bite-sized chunks of information. No one's going to want to read a novel, but they'll definitely download information if they think that it's going to scratch the itch that they currently have really quickly. And down below we can see some other ideas for your titles. Build an amazing, or the ultimate guide, or secrets to a successful. Amazing, ultimate, and secrets all have, they paint the picture that you have a lot of impact and what they're going to be looking at is going to be truly outstanding. So the next thing that we're going to be talking about is the calls to action. So as I mentioned before, a call to action really is a button. And it's going to be a button that you put on your website that is, I think about them as little advertisements to those offers. So you take a look at them. Some of them have pictures of the books, and some of them are just buttons. Try free for 30 days. All of these are calls to action. So something to think about with regards to your calls to action is make them easy to find. Make sure that they jump off the page. You can see it, the color is different on this. This is an example of a landing page, or this is actually a web page. But you can see that the calls to action here, they're green versus the backgrounds of white and blue, and they're also placed prominently. So you don't have to scroll way down to the bottom of a page to see them. So some best practices to think about when you're developing these buttons, these calls to actions, these little advertisements on your website. Make them easy to find, as I've already talked about. Link to a dedicated landing page, and I'm going to explain what that is in just a minute. Be clear and not clever. Make sure that it is just dead simple, that people know exactly what they're going to get if they click on that button. Because again, the idea when you're even looking at a website or anything digital is that people are going to be scanning. They're not going to read left to right, top to bottom. Make sure that it stands out. Use action-oriented language. So use download now or learn more, things like that. And finally, place on relevant web and blog pages. And I'm going to get more into that in a little bit later on. So now we talked about an offer, we talked about calls to action. Let's talk about the landing pages themselves, where we're going to be asking people for their information. This is an example of a landing page, and it's specialized in a couple of different ways. You can see that there is a headline and a subhead in the top. There is a limited amount of text on the left. We've got a graphic in the center, and we've got the form on the right. But let's take a look at this and break it apart. Now, this is actually a different landing page, but we can see in the gold areas how this is special. So if I take a look at the top center, I'll notice there's no navigation at all. There's no about us, there's no products, there's no services, there's no anything. And the reason that is because when someone gets to this page, you are putting them into a decision, a yes-no decision of whether or not they are going to fill out the form and download for your content. The only caveat to that is the bottom right. You can see social sharing icons. You'll be able to go ahead and share information on this landing page with your network. Other than that, you don't want people leaking out into other areas of your website. So now let's take a look at some of the other gold areas here. So if we start in the top left, we'll see that we've got a headline and a subheadline that states exactly what it is you're going to be getting. So it really mirrors typically what the offer is, 17 SEO myths you should leave behind. Next, below that is a brief description of the offer. And I would say that you want to make this as light as possible. Now, I know as marketers, often we really want to get across everything that we can because we know of the different kinds of value that you can receive. This is the opposite of that. We want to make this extremely light, and that's why we have the bullets underneath, the bullet points that sell the offer benefits. This is huge. Make sure that you get this across very quickly, succinctly. Those bullet points are what people are going to be checking to make sure that this aligns with what they want, probably more importantly than the body copy above. And then if you take a look at the graphic itself, a great tip is to make sure that you make this as tangible as possible. You can see that this 17 SEO myths looks like a book, an e-book. So it helps people to understand and perceive the value of what they're going to be getting, even if it is a digital download. If you take a look on the right side, you'll see that we've got the form where we're capturing the information from our visitors, and we've got those social sharing icons. One thing regarding the landing pages, think about it this way. The more pages that you have, so we can see there's multiple offers here, ebooks and white papers and webinars and trials. There's a lot of different pieces of content that you can get out there. The more of these you have, the more leads that you're going to get. Now let's talk about the form. It's crucial that you know what to do with this form, and this really ties into the amount of value that you are offering. Again, as marketers, as business owners, as anybody that's trying to get more information on customers, current customers, we're all susceptible to the notion that we want to get everything now, and it's really not the case. You have to watch it when you're asking people for information. So tie the length of the number of field forms that you put in directly with the value that you have. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So if I'm saying to somebody, I'm going to give you a piece of downloadable content, it's a quick white paper that you can get that will help you with information that you have right now that you're looking for. I can probably ask for email, maybe first name, last name, and company. However, if I've got somebody that I'm selling, let's say a Maserati, and they are in the market for one, they would probably be willing to part with more information for a test drive just because of the value of the offer that you have for that particular segment. So again, make sure that you don't ask for too much up front. The next thing is don't use the word submit, use download instead. When you use the word submit, you're saying, hey, give me your information, versus download where they're seeing, hey, I'm going to be getting this. And you can reduce anxiety with proof elements like privacy statements, testimonials. So privacy statement could be, you know what, we hate spam, we'll never sell your information, we'll never give your information away, things like that. So the next area that I'd like to go into now, we talked about the 4 different pieces of a lead generation platform, and this will all be wrapped up at the end. So we've gone through the 4 different elements, but I want to talk now about segmentation and the content. So you're thinking, great, okay, I know the 4 pieces. Now what do I start to think about regarding content? So with your content, remember you're trying to solve problems. But how do I get ideas for those problems? Well, here's a couple quick ideas for you right now. So if you're blogging, and you should be, you can look to the blog posts to see what's resonating. You know, what is pulling the most? What are people really interacting with? That's a great way to start to think about, hey, if I've got a lot of information that that people care about in a blog post, what can I do to write about that particular kind of content for our articles and for our offers? Other areas are frequently asked questions. This can be online, and it can also be with your sales force. Tap into your sales force and ask them, what are people interested in? What are their pain points? These are great areas to think about when you're searching for content ideas. Now, also regarding content, you can repurpose content when you can, so you can also reverse engineer this and pull out blog posts and things like that from your content, and always test. Understand what's happening with the data and with what people are interested in. Now, segmentation by need. I've got a need right now for that piece of pizza, I think, down in the bottom left. It is the lunch hour, so I couldn't resist the temptation to put some food in here. But really the idea that I just wanted to get across here is that and look into your offerings further. Something that may not be as readily apparent as segmenting by need when you're thinking about what offers to create is segmentation by sales stage. Now this is going to be really important, especially on the B2B side of things, because as the sales cycle is longer, as the consequences of making a bad decision increase, the sales cycle is going to take longer to get through. So I'm going to talk about the 3 different areas that we should be thinking about with regards to getting people down the sales funnel. So if you take a look from left to right, you can think about this as a sales funnel. So the top of the funnel is the awareness stage, and that is light content to get people to quickly understand what you may have to offer and how it can help them. So this will be downloading ebooks and tip sheets and checklists, white papers and how-to videos, etc. Now, the idea, the goal for awareness to get people into here is to get people just to know that you exist and show them how you can help them. People that come to you and that are thinking about downloading information have a problem and you may have the solution. So at this point, it's really high-level information just to show how you can help them get from one point to the next. Now, the next part of the sales stage is consideration. This is where people understand, you know what, I understand that I've got a problem and I have multiple choices that may be able to help me. At this point, it's not if I should do something, but who should I use to help me? So these people need to understand why they should choose you. So here we're going to use webinars and data sheets and case studies and demo videos and really information that shows what you have to offer and why you are the natural choice versus your competition. So our goal here for consideration stage is to stand out and to show why your offer is absolutely the best amongst everybody. Now, the decision stage. This is the point in time when people think, you know what, I'm pretty sure that I know that I want to go with you. And it just comes down to, at that point, when? When am I going to do it? So here there's two things in play. One is being able to offer incentives such as money off and what we have right here, free trials, live demos, coupons, estimates. So being able to give a monetary reason for people to go ahead and pull the trigger now. On the other hand, there are going to be reasons that if it's more of a considered purchase, let's say I'm thinking about buying a vehicle. And the vehicle, I'm not sure that now's the right time. But if I combine an incentive that's monetary and combine the fact that I'll be able to get great after-purchase service, if I'll be able to understand warranties, things like that that reduce the level of fear that someone may have in purchasing what you have, it will help them to make that decision and pull the trigger now versus later. So for our decision goal, we have to explain why now is the time to act versus later. So what I have here is 4 different offerings, and I just randomly selected an industry, and I'm thinking about a bank right now. And a bank, let's say they've got 4 offerings: checking, certificates of deposit, mortgages, equity loans. Okay. Now, if we think about who they're trying to talk to, it's going to be multiple different kinds of people. So I've got persona 1 here. So a persona is just a group of people. It's a segment of people. So let's say this particular persona is a 23-year-old person that is maybe just getting out of college, thinking about purchasing a home. But we know that we have a lot more different types of people that we want to talk to. Let's say persona 2 is someone that's starting a family. Maybe they're late 20s, early 30s. Persona 3 could be someone 45 to 55 and thinking about how best to invest their money. Persona 4 could be someone that's, let's say, 65 and thinking about how they want to manage their resources as they move into retirement. Now, if we add on to that the multiple different channels that we can reach these people in, if we combine this and put them with the personas and the offers, now we take a look and we can see that we've got something that becomes very complex very quickly. The reason that I put this together and the reason that I wanted to talk with you about this in particular is just to let you know that what you really need to do, especially if you're just starting off with this, is to start targeted. Pick one area that is going to matter for your company. So if you have one area, so I have the equity loan selected here. Perhaps this is the highest margin for your company. Perhaps you're losing market share in this area and you want to bolster it. Whatever your reason is, make sure that you select what makes sense for your company and focus on that. And then, of course, you can build and scale up from this later. Now, this is kind of a bonus section that I just threw in here, but I thought it was important just to kind of give you a flavor of where we can go from here. So now let's talk a little bit about building more traffic to the website, because, all right, now you've got your engine built. You're collecting leads, and you're starting to nurture those leads. Now, how do you get more eyeballs to your traffic? Or not to your traffic, excuse me, to your website. So we've got multiple areas here, and I'm just going to touch on them. We've got search engine optimization, so of course you type in a key phrase to Google, and hopefully your page will pop up for that key phrase. We've got blogging. This is great because Google loves fresh content, and it also gives great information to people in a easy-to-consume format. You've got social media. You can have posts that drive traffic to your website. We've got pay-per-click advertising, which is going to be basically like SEO. Of course, you type in your key phrase into Google, but you pay to make sure that your page goes to the top of the page. And finally, you've got direct mail. Direct mail is really a nice vehicle if you're trying to expand your reach. If you don't have any information on who you're trying to get to, it's very nice and it's targeted. So it's another great way to pull people over to your website that may not be aware of you. But what I really want to talk about is one of these vehicles, and it is the blogging portion. Now, blogging simply works. I've talked to multiple clients who, we started a blog, but we didn't really see anything right away, so it kind of went by the wayside, and I get it. You know, people are, there's a million things to do in any company. And so it's one of those things that kind of goes to a back burner, and then all of a sudden it kind of dies on the vine. But understanding how well it can work for you really should get you thinking more about how to incorporate this in a meaningful way. So if you take a look at some of these stats, 55% more website visitors, 97% more inbound links, 434% more indexed pages, 126 more leads. And this is the big one to me. You're going to get more than double the amount of leads that you're looking for if you blog. And I'm going to show you why right here. So this is one of the latest blog posts that we have. So this is the Streamworks site, and you'll see at the top right here we've got 14 social media marketing tools that the pros use. So people will be able to get free content regarding social marketing. You can take a look through here, and as you come down, a couple of things to note is we've got a numbered list, and everything in this list is short. So this is great. Again, making that information very, very easy to understand and making it very quick to absorb. So our numbered list, we've got graphics in here, which you definitely want to incorporate. But what I really want to get across is if we take a look at the bottom of this, this is key to our conversation here today. We can see that we've got a call to action placed at the bottom of this. And the call to action is directly correlated with what we're talking about in the blog post in general. So 14 social media marketing tools. Okay, when you're done with learning about the tools, now we can learn about using social media to find new leads. And if we click this, of course, we go to our landing page that has a bit of information, has the graphic, and our lead generation form. So with that, let's start to wrap it up. Takeaways from today. There's 4 components of lead generation. Remember, it's the offer or that point of value that we want to be able to give in exchange for information. We've got the call to action, which is the mini advertisement that says, hey, click this and you're going to get something great. We've got the landing page, which is that specialized web page that doesn't have extra navigation, and it's got the form on it. Remember that when we're building content, we're really trying to solve a problem. We want to make sure that we are engaging people in helping them to get to the answer that they need. Remember to segment customers, offers, and sales stages. Start simple and focused and scale up later. And finally, if you're not blogging now, be sure to start. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Amy Rowan.
Okay, we've got some questions, some good ones. First one being, do they need special software to do this, to build that lead generation engine, so to speak?
No, you don't really have to have any kind of special software to like pull this all together. If you just break it down into the 4 areas that we were talking about, it's really, we need to be able to collect information, so we have to have the ability to have a form on a page. You have to have the ability to create the landing pages, which you should probably already have. I would say that one thing that you probably want to think about is those calls to actions. Make sure that you've got the ability to create something that is compelling. And so whether that is having a designer that has access to Photoshop, something like that, make sure that those calls to action, remember, they are little advertisements, so we have to make them look sharp and crisp and clickable. I think that's probably it. Now, of course, there are marketing platforms, there's marketing automation platforms where you can do a lot, but that's really a different discussion. So as far as getting started, no, those are really the only components that you need.
If you could expand briefly, because that is another follow-up question, thoughts on marketing automation software, maybe kind of the different types available or some considerations on selecting one.
Sure. Let's see. If you're thinking about marketing automation, there's a couple of things. You can get pretty inexpensive pieces of like, let's say, inexpensive email service providers if we're thinking about the lead nurture process. So those you can typically get into, well, I'm not really going to say a number, but I'm sure you can take a look out there and get in fairly inexpensively for any business. And they will do some testing, some A/B testing, and it's a great place to start. However, when you move to the next level and you're trying to reach a lot of different people with a lot of different message and a lot of different messages with a lot of different steps to the sales cycle, then you're going to need something more robust that has the ability to do things like automatically segment people into different buckets based on what they're interested in, where they are in the sales cycle, possibly thinking about being able to use lead scoring and things like that. So there's definitely a wide variety of solutions on the market. If you have additional questions on that, my information is going to be popping up here in a second, so you can shoot me an email and we can take that conversation offline.
Perfect. Another question is, you've kind of alluded to this a bit, but do these tactics work for all types of businesses? So B2B, B2C, maybe nonprofits?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say yes. You definitely want to get as many leads as you can. Not everybody is going to be able to convert. Let's say I'm interested in finding out more information about whatever. Let's say a Lamborghini. It doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to be going out and purchasing one. So I think that's a misnomer. The sales funnel, I think a more accurate way about thinking about it is really a sales sieve. But if you're thinking about like from B2B, yeah, absolutely. You're getting leads and you're nurturing them down the sales funnel through to conversion. So as I mentioned, you've got the awareness, you've got consideration, and then you've got the decision cycles that you're going to be getting for that. So if, let's say I'm thinking about purchasing an off-road vehicle, this is going to be B2C now. So it's going to be, I don't know, I'm going to put a price tag on of $18,000. So it's going to be a significant purchase to me. I'm going to want to know first about just in general, why would I care about it, this off-road vehicle? How much value is it going to give to me? Secondly, now that I've been thinking about it a while, now I'm thinking, yeah, I want to purchase one. Which one should I purchase? Which vendor, which brand should I get? Then I'm in the consideration stage, and then finally, of course, the decision stage. I'm looking for information on why you should purchase now. And again, it comes down to price and reducing fear. In a nonprofit, it would work great because we've got the ability to tell a story over an extended period of time. So being able to get people into your lead generation funnel and then talk with them about the benefits that you as an organization have. It could be with how efficiently you're using their resources or the money that you're getting. It can tell stories about how great you're affecting people's lives. So I really would be hard-pressed to find a situation where this wouldn't work, actually.
Perfect. Okay, looks like last call for questions. One last question. So obviously we've been focusing heavily on websites. Is there a way to combine this with direct mail or a marketing channel that isn't digital?
Yeah.
You kind of alluded to, but
yeah. So I would definitely say that digital isn't mutually exclusive to traditional. So, for example, I'm thinking about a client right now that we've been running campaigns for them, a series of emails to let people know that there would be events happening across the country. And these emails, they were effective because they let people know over time that this was coming up, why they should take advantage of it, and then, hey, it's coming up quickly, it's your last chance, that kind of a thing. So that helped. But being able to insert a print piece in the middle of that was a way for them to be able to reach people in a different medium. So we just sent out a trifold piece that was incorporated into this email stream, and we immediately saw a significant lift. I mean, thousands of dollars. So I would say don't think about I wouldn't think about it as we're going to use digital or we're going to use traditional or we're going to do anything only. You take a look at a variety of different tools, and that's all these things are tools, and being able to combine them will give you more than the sum of the parts.
Perfect. Okay, well, as you guys have seen there on your screen, be watching your email. We'll be sending you a copy of the slide deck, as we mentioned. We'll also be sending you one of our ebooks. We'll not make you fill out a form to get it. The ebook, 30 Greatest Lead Gen Tips, which will cover some of the things that we talked about today and some additional lead gen tips that you can use and put into practice. And then the next slide here will be how to get in touch with Steve if you have additional questions, maybe about marketing automation software or anything that was covered today. So also you can always go through your StreamWorks rep, and they can probably ask you some of these questions, or they can put you in touch with Steve, but you also have the option to contact him directly. So with that, we hope that you found some things of value that you can put into use right away. And for those of you in Minnesota who are enjoying where it's really nice weather, get outside and enjoy the rest of your lunch.
Thank you.
Thanks.